Welcome to Bridge the Atlantic, where we get to know the people behind the creative industries. We're your hosts, music web designer Ross Barber-Smith, owner of Electric Kiwi, where we create awesome custom websites for bands, artists, and musicians.
And I'm singer-songwriter and multi-instrumentalist Marcin Novelli, a proud dad, lucky husband, and a crazy vegan.
This week we're joined by LA-based artist, author, illustrator, and designer Ruby Roth. Ruby is the world's leading author and illustrator of vegan and vegetarian books for children, and has been featured on CNN, Fox, and many other major media outlets.
Complementing her degrees in art and American studies, Ruby has researched animal agriculture, health, nutrition, and the benefits of a plant-based diet for well over a decade. So we're looking forward to hearing how Ruby has combined multiple passions into a career and the advice she'd offer for others who would like to do the same. Hey Ruby, how's it going?
Good. How are you guys? Glad to hang out with you.
Ruby, tell us 3 things about yourself that everyone should know.
Well, I am an artist before anything else. I think I'm known in the vegan community for having written these kids' books and a cookbook, but all of those projects come from an art foundation, and they were all art projects to me. So the art is primary in my life. Also, I have a social justice background. Starting in high school and college, was very involved in social justice issues, a lot of anti-racist work and student groups. And I think that formed the basis of my interests that led me to veganism as well. And what else? I'm an undercover punk. There's no tattoos on the outside, but I'm tattooed all on the inside.
I can fully relate. I can fully relate to you on that one. It's exteriorly no, interiorly yes.
I think also people, they think children's book author, illustrator as like total innocence. And if you saw my music collection, I think people would think it was funny. But I think, those punk rock roots also led me to do what I do today. The kind of countercultural, do-it-yourself, anti-authoritarian teachings of all the punk rock groups. I learned that early.
So basically what you're saying is you're a badass.
I mean...
Not my words, just saying you're a badass.
All right, those were your words.
Yeah, they actually were my words.
I'll take it.
So yeah, this all leads pretty nicely into the first question. I think you kind of touched on bits and pieces of what I'm hoping to get from you here, but you evidently have interests and skills in various fields, writing, illustration, nutrition. How did you combine them all and make a career out of them? I mean, was it intentional or something that kind of just evolved naturally?
Well, it all came from art, which was what I was planning on doing my whole life. I didn't think that I would be a gallery artist. I wanted to be an illustrator or do some kind of art that had meaning behind it, because that was what was most important to me over just pure self-expression. So it came about because after I graduated from college, I was teaching art at an after-school program, and all the kids were always curious about why I wasn't drinking the milk and eating the string cheese that the government was serving them at recess. And I went to go look for a book that we could read about together and do an art project on. And what I found were very few books to begin with, and also they were about a talking animal or a talking vegetable, which I felt like took away from the rich emotional lives of animals, and also from the kids' intelligence and their capabilities. These kids were all hard kids from the inner city, and they'd been through a lot, and I didn't sugarcoat anything when I talked to them, so I wasn't going to read them a book about a talking tomato. That just wasn't our vibe. So it was a moment where I pulled all of my interests together, the politics, the social justice, the art background, and decided to create the books that I wanted to see and read to these kids.
Well, before we talk about your new book, I want to say that this book right here is an absolute favorite of my eldest son, Skylar. We've been reading this to him since he was about 2. He's almost 4, and we've been reading this to him since he was 2. And he quotes things from here when family members ask, "Why are you vegan?" Because he has cousins about his age, and he quotes lines from this book. So you've
That's
really
awesome.
helped, along with us, obviously, helping to educate him while learning his ABCs.
All
It's called V
right.
is for Vegan. Yeah, the ABCs of being kind. I do want to hear about your new book for kids, though. It's called the Help Yourself Cookbook for Kids, which I'm excited to dive into with my little ones. And I'd like to know kind of what led you to writing it, and of course all your other books.
Well, after the first books, which kind of hit on the emotional lives of animals and veganism as a lifestyle, how we put our love into action and send our love across the world through the choices that we make, I had a lot of requests from vegan families for a book that they could share with friends or school or other family members without putting any pressure on the recipient or starting a war. So the first books were really written for families raising vegan kids, but the cookbook, the Help Yourself Cookbook for Kids, is really designed for everybody. It just is a super fun kids cookbook. It just happens to be plant-based. And what parent doesn't want their kids to eat more fruits and vegetables and whole foods? So it's a 60 plus recipes. Most of them are 5 ingredients or less. Kids can actually make it, unlike other books that I saw, which were really like they would have kids on the cover, but the language and the directions were really like obvious that the parents needed to be involved. So this is written directly to kids in a language that they understand, and it's super simple, and it really gets even the pickiest of eaters involved and engaged in the kitchen and interested in whole foods and the motivation behind eating healthy.
I love that.
It's also
There's
for
a reason
busy or lazy adults.
That's me.
Wait, or just adults with very little time.
Yeah, I said busy.
There you
Well,
go.
Yeah.
it's really how I cook at home.
You know what? I think you need to send this book to Ross. Ross doesn't have any kids, but I think this book will help him. Am I right, Ross? Very busy guy, quickly making meals.
Yeah, that's true. It's true.
Maybe we can convert him to the light side. I was going to say dark side.
We'll see. I mean, I'm not against it because that would be stupid.
You guys do meatless dinners. That's a step.
Yeah, we do. We do some. Yeah.
It's the way of the future. Everyone's kind of moving that direction, I think.
As a related note, I really do think for the survival of the human species, it's inevitable. I mean, if people want to eat, everyone's going to have to go plant-based simply because of the amount of land that it takes to raise livestock. I mean, there's many different documentaries that focus on different things. Cowspiracy is a great one because it actually talks about it's less about the things that bother, people have a hard time swallowing, the pun, swallowing, the ethical reasons behind being vegan. And people also have a hard time swallowing like the health reasons because maybe some people just don't care. But when it comes to someone actually thinking that they care about the environment, but they consume, meat and animal products, it's a little bit, it's actually more than a little bit of a hypocrisy, right? But anyway.
Well, just on that point, I think that it is the way of the future, and I think I don't know that I would be vegan at all other times in history, but I think in the context of the world that we live in today, it is absolutely the right thing to do and the right trajectory that we all need to get on. Whether you're just starting or you've been in it for 30 years, I know the range of people, and it's just correct for our time and our era.
This is going off a little bit of our interview, but it always just drives me nuts when someone says, "Oh, I love my meat too much. I couldn't give it up." Well, what if meat were illegal? What if there was something that you loved so much that was illegal? Like, oh, I just love my cocaine. I just can't give it up. Well, it doesn't mean that you should be consuming it. There's many reasons behind it, ethically, nutritionally, health-wise, and environmentally. That's just the 3 main ones. There's so many other reasons.
Absolutely.
Anyways, I digress. And we shall move on with more focused questions.
Back to the creative.
There we go.
Exactly. Are you looking at the questions that we have here? Because literally the next question is about being creative.
Yeah. Do you have access to our script or something here? Not that we have a script.
What's a script?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Never heard of that. So yeah, kind of moving back to the creative side of things. I'd be interested to find out if there's been one big challenge that you've had to overcome in terms of making a living through your creativity.
I mean, it is difficult, and someone reminded me, a friend who's a screenplay writer. He keeps a little sign above his desk that says, "No one asked you to do this," and that is true. If you're going to choose this, you have to do it wholeheartedly, and there's a lot of trust involved. And it's always a struggle. I know even successful artists who have made a living off just their artwork for their whole lifetime. You never know what's coming or what's not coming. So there is a lot of patience involved and a lot of trust. And there's just something in us that is the driving force. And it comes down to continuing to do the work. And my website, besides the kids' book stuff, is Draw or Die. And I really, truly feel that, that like, if I don't know what else I would do, I would probably wither and die if I wasn't doing my art. So the obstacle is always just to do the work despite what's happening with money, and to keep figuring it out as you go.
I like that. I really, really do. I want to ask you something that's less on the creative side and more on what you're known for. But why are you vegan?
I think it goes back to what I just said. With the context of the world that we live in today, and the water and the food and the global warming and climate change and the mass destruction. I mean, like, the list goes on and on and on. I think it's the right thing to do. I don't, even know that I couldn't myself kill an animal. At another time, I could probably do it. I could probably, accomplish the feat. But it's not what I'm interested in now. And I think, as an artist, you are always looking at thinking critically and thinking outside the box. And we're, as artists, kind of exposed to the underbelly and, outside culture. And that goes hand in hand with, for me, being creative and outside the box and living, finding a way to live genuinely and authentically to your beliefs. Veganism sits well with me. It sits well with my health. And I think it's just absolutely the right thing for everybody to be getting on board with. And I think most everybody is vegan at heart already, but the information is starting to trickle in on all the motivations behind the movement. And I think everyone can find a reason that they agree with.
That was well said.
Thank you.
Are you ready for 20 questions?
Sure.
Coffee or tea?
Tea. Can't handle coffee. I'm a child.
This one is completely redundant, but meat or veggies?
1,000 times veggies.
TV or Netflix?
Netflix.
Twitter or Facebook?
Oh, Facebook.
Talent or attitude?
Talent.
iPhone or Android?
iPhone. I don't even know what an Android is.
This is gonna be a tough one for you. It's a tough one for me. Actually, it's not a tough one for me. Guacamole or hummus?
Guac.
Yeah, same. I get so excited.
Raw food. I'll pick raw food.
Writing or illustration?
Illustration.
Yoga on the beach of Santa Monica or yogurt?
I'll do yoga.
Ghosts or aliens?
Alien.
Oh, do you watch Ancient Aliens?
No.
Oh, come on. It's such a fun show, though. Vega or Sun Warrior?
Oh, that's hard. I really support both of them. Can I do that? I'm going to go outside the box with these rules.
Sure.
We'll allow it.
Whatever your punk rock heart desires.
Thank you.
Education or experience?
Experience.
Now, Ross is still stuck in the 90s, so this really should be him asking you this question, but Friends or Seinfeld?
Seinfeld.
Batman or Superman?
Batman.
You and I agree on a lot here.
I take the animal. Take the animal route.
Oh, I see what's going on here. Okay, this is a pretty important one. Not the most important question you'll be asked today, but this is an important one. Michael Jackson or Michael Bolton?
Michael Jackson. Who answers Michael Bolton on that one, guys?
Ross does. Ross
Me.
was raised listening to Michael Bolton, so
It's the hair. It's the hair.
You love it.
Breaking Bad or Homeland?
Breaking Bad.
Celine Dion or Marilyn Manson?
Marilyn Manson.
Whale or kale?
Did you say whale or kale?
Whale or kale? The context is unclear. We've never quite decided on any reason other than they rhyme.
I'm gonna take both of them because I feel like whale and kale are on the same side.
They are, except a whale would eat us.
That's fine.
That's okay.
I'm okay with that.
Now, with more rhyming questions that are completely unrelated, Bette Midler or the Riddler?
The Riddler.
Oh, and here's the final question for you. That Ross can be so kind to deliver this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna deliver this one. So we're gonna make you pick between Ross or Marcio.
This is a horrible choice.
Well, I'm gonna preface this. I'm gonna say, it's not that I'm giving you permission. You don't need
Don't
permission.
do this, Ross. Don't even do this. Okay,
I would feel upset for Marcio if you didn't pick Marcio because he's a vegan.
That's it.
And he's such an advocate for your books.
He's wearing a vegan shirt and he has memorized V's for vegan. So I have to go with the guy in the vegan shirt.
This was given to Peter. Just sent this to me actually, which was very nice. And yeah, I guess I am wearing that. I am. Oh man, I am being that annoying vegan today. Buy her books. Look at this shirt. Oh God, who am I? How do you know if someone's vegan, Ruby?
They'll tell you.
Oh, we'll tell you.
Yeah. 1,000 times.
So I want to know. So for anyone who wants to make a living by combining multiple passions or talents, just like you do, what would be the advice you'd offer them based on what you've learned yourself? Maybe like the top thing you've learned.
It goes back to just doing the work and locking yourself up and committing to it. It's something I have to recommit to every single project that I do. There's been like the high of releasing a new project and a new book, and then the low of like, oh my God, I don't know what comes next. I have a built-in audience, but what are they going to like? And there's all kinds of doubt. And, I think every artist and creative type can relate to that in between feeling. And I have to lock myself up and get my pen out, and you really have to confront all the resistance and all the ambivalence and all the doubt and the blank piece of paper in front of you, and just go back into production mode and see what comes out. And for me, a lot of it, starting a new project, the first stuff that comes out is gunk, and it's horrible, and it's not good, and it's not good drawings. I'm cold, and I haven't, been in it for a while because I've been, publicizing and doing outreach on something else. And it's about getting through that stickiness and seeing what comes out on the other side. And after that, that's when you can do outreach and networking and find a place for whatever that new project is. The appropriate outlets, even if it's something completely different from the last thing you did, and requires a new network of people to support you. Then that's the trajectory and that's the path. But it comes down to continuing to do the work and not allow yourself to be stuck in a rut.
As an artist who has really developed a following in the vegan community, do you find it difficult to want to step out of that arena to express yourself in different ways? I mean, I know if I were a musician that strictly wrote about veganism, that's where your success has kind of come from primarily. I want to step outside of that a little bit, but are you weary about that? Are you worried about it? How do you approach that?
For sure. Well, because the last 8-9 years have been focused on books and books that are in the vegan niche, that's where most of my following comes from. Not everyone necessarily cares that I'm an artist or cares about any of the other art that I do. So that's definitely a challenge in whatever I do next, because, like I said, everything that I'm going to put out there is going to be based in art. And even though most of my focus has been children's stuff, there's a whole other side of my artwork that's more in the adult space. And so that's going to be, that's my new challenge, is getting back to the drawing board, very literally and figuratively, and trusting that whatever I do next is going to be authentic to me and my journey. And we'll see what audience comes with me. My following, which, a portion of my following comes with me, and how I use the same discipline and trust that I had with the books, and move that into my personal artwork as I put that out into the world, whatever those new projects are.
That's wonderful. Another thing I want to quickly ask you about, because this is a show about, creatives and kind of to help people who are aspiring to get to a point where yourself I can't speak, where you've gotten to, and some of our other guests have gotten to. So, getting a book published, could you run us through just the quick bullet points of how you go from a blank piece of paper, to having your book, available for someone like me to just see it in a store, pick it up, and, if you can run us through that quickly, the bullet points, and as well as let us know, did you find it easier or more difficult to get published in the vegan niche? Because sometimes niches, provide you with a benefit because there's less competition in niche versus, the broad spectrum.
The book publishing process is a very long one. In the beginning, in 2008, when I started pitching my book, which I put together completely, I created a little dummy book. It was a black and white version of the entirety of the manuscript and the illustrations, and that's what I sent around to the publishers. There was a tremendous amount of rejection. Veganism was not in the lexicon of the mainstream in 2008 like it is now. And people were very scared about this book. They thought it was, inappropriate for children, that there wasn't a market for this book. It was talking about veganism and vegetarianism for kids in a nonfiction way. So I pitched this to a million different companies, went through all the standard protocols of submissions, and there was one company, North Atlantic Books, my publisher, that was semi-interested. They had all the same worries that everybody else did, because when it comes down to it, a book is a moneymaker or it's not. That's what most publishers are interested in. And so this was a risk, and we kind of talked them into doing it, and really my belief that there would be a market. So that's how that started, and they took on my second and third books after they saw that there was a market. Even though it's a small niche, it's still an involved and committed niche. So those books, one helped me get to the next.
We do forget just 8 years ago how much things have changed from in almost a decade. Things have changed so much because of people like you who have taken risks and put yourself out there and just wanting to spread. It's not like you just jumped on the vegan kind of train. Oh, this is getting popular. Everyone's talking about it. You were part of making veganism kind of approach the mainstream consciousness. So I applaud you for that. I definitely do. Now, speaking of everything you've done, not only as a vegan writer, but also just as an artist yourself, could you please let everyone know where they can find you, Ruby Roth, as well as the vegan side of things?
On Instagram, I am Ruby_Roth, ROTH. I'm also at We Don't Eat Animals on Instagram. Facebook is facebook.com/We Don't Eat Animals. And my adult website stuff and illustration and design work is drawordie.com. Otherwise, all my kids' books and the new book and the cookbook and the aprons and some of the artwork from the books are all at wedon'teatanimals.com.
Awesome. I do want to say that Ruby is being kind enough to give away one of her books to one of our lucky listeners, and all the details are in the show notes for that.
Cool. And you can find us on Twitter, Facebook, iTunes, and YouTube. Just search for Bridge the Atlantic. You'll find us. Come and say hey. We like to, find out what you think of the show. We want to hear who you want us to have on the show. If you've got any questions or feedback, just let us know, because we're pretty friendly.
Well, Ross is.
Yeah.
I'm a moody artist. As for me, I'm working on my second solo album, and you can be a part of it at marcinovelli.com/pledge. You can also get my current album right here. Boop, boop, boop. And make sure to follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Spotify, which are all my name, Marcio Novelli.
And I'm working on websites for various artists at the moment. You can check out my work and my blog at electrickiwi.co.uk. You'll find me on Twitter and Instagram as Electric Kiwi, and on Facebook, Electric Kiwi Design.
This episode was brought to you by Chris Keaton, 30 Roses, The Rockstar Advocate, Buck Naked Soap Company, which is a vegan company, and Social Surge. All links are in the show notes, so please check them out, and they really do keep the show alive.
And if you'd like to sponsor the show, you can do so for as little as $1 per episode. Please visit patreon.com/bridgetheatlantic.
Ruby, thank you so much for coming on the show, and thank you for everything you've done to help spread the love and the vegan awareness around the world.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching Bridge the Atlantic. If you like what you saw, make sure to like, favorite, and most importantly, subscribe so that you don't miss each week's episode.
Please feel free to leave us a comment letting us know what you think of the show.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and subscribe to us on iTunes so that you can listen to us on the go. Thanks again for being awesome, and we'll see you on next week's episode.